86 billion. That is roughly the number of neurons that make up the human brain. All of these neurons are connected to one another, and they help us to process information almost instantly, which is remarkable considering it happens every second of every day. For as long as I can remember, the human mind has always fascinated me, especially how it allows us to operate with a considerably high level of intelligence. This here helped pave the way for the modern world as we know it today. Like I said before, some 86 billion neurons make up the human brain. They're all connected to one another, and they all fire electrical signals which help give way to thoughts and ideas. Now, this serves many purposes, but one of the most important of which is helping us approach situations with different styles of thinking that allow us to come to different solutions. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the functions of convergent and divergent thinking, as well as how they stimulate the human brain and how they affect our emotions. Let's begin with what these concepts are and how they differ. Convergent and divergent thinking are thinking processes that take place in the human brain, and they differ through how they come to solutions. According to Harry DeVry of the Paris Journal of Creative Behavior, convergent thinking refers to thought processes that lead to one best response, which is usually the expected right answer to a well-defined problem. It requires more persistence and focus, as said by Weitao Zhang, because it eliminates ambiguity, which means that any proposed solutions that are given, they are deemed as either completely right or completely wrong. An example of this is during standardized testing. Every question that somebody comes across, they need to provide one correct answer. Now, this differs from divergent thinking, which, according to DeVry once again, it's often conceived as the ability to explore in multiple and diverse directions a thought space from an initial problem or reference point. This helps to create multiple solutions from multiple viewpoints. And in Weitao Zhang's words, it helps to highlight the flexibility of the mind. Now that we have a basic understanding of these ideas, let's discuss how they stimulate the human brain. Convergent and divergent thinking are performed by the left and right hemispheres of the human brain. According to Michael Corbalis of the University of Auckland, the left hemisphere of the brain has a specialization for language and logic. And this is where convergent thinking takes place because it is focused on using logic and analysis and critical thinking in order to solve a problem. It also takes prior knowledge and heuristics into account when coming up with a solution, and it organizes given information. Now, this is different from the right hemisphere of the brain, which, according to Corbalis once again, it specializes in creativity, intuition, and emotion. This is where divergent thinking takes place, because divergent thinkers are seen as more imaginative and intuitive. They rely more on emotions and patterns rather than rules and protocol in coming up with a solution, which leads to more personal expression and more solutions. Now, with all this information in mind, let's move on to how these thinking processes affect our emotions. Convergent and divergent thinking have the ability to bring out negative and positive mood states respectively. As said by Sagra Shermahini of Leiden University, convergent thinking calls for a strongly constrained research process. Now, when restricted by rules and protocol to come up with one singular solution, people struggle to be positive because they cannot solve a problem the way that they want to do it, nor can they give the solution that they feel is right. They're tied down by what others want them to do. In simple terms, it's hard to be happy about doing something when you have to do it the way someone else wants you to rather than the way you want to do it. Now, this is different from divergent thinking, which, according to Shermahini once again, these kinds of tasks constrain the selection of possible responses rather weakly. Now, this brings out a positive mood state because now the people have more freedom to approach the situation however they feel is right, and they can give the solution that they feel is best. And this is an example of why artists are divergent thinkers, because when commissioned for a project, they have free range for whatever they want to produce as long as they fit few criteria. Now, I've covered a lot of information, so it's time to close things out. In conclusion, convergent and divergent thinking are different ways that the human brain approaches a problem. They are performed by the left and right hemispheres of the human brain, and they can help influence whether we have a positive or negative mood state during a task. Without those 86 billion neurons in the human brain, all connected, working together during these thinking processes, the modern world as we know it may have remained a dream rather than becoming the reality that we know. Are there any questions?
Is a musician an example of a divergent thinker?
Yes, it is, because especially jazz musicians, and being formerly a jazz musician, I can vouch for this, because especially when we have to come up with a solo or improvise, we have free range for whatever we want to do, as long as we play in a certain key. See, there's few criteria, like I mentioned before, like with an artist, but it's not like we have to play specific notes in a specific sequence. We just do what we feel is right. Thank you.